The 3-0 Philadelphia Eagles face another undefeated opponent 2 weeks in a row, really 3 weeks in a row. The Philadelphia Eagles now taking on the 3-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team that has given Jalen Hurts and this Philadelphia Eagles offense fits in the past. Seth Joyner, Derrick Gunn for a hot one down in Tampa Bay. First thing, the Eagles go down there a little bit earlier than usual. They go after practice on Friday, after walkthroughs on Friday, after media sessions on Friday. Seth, you played in Arizona. You have played your fair share of hot games. How much is that heat going to factor into this one?
Well, a lot of it is psychological. I mean, you got to get yourself ready for the fact that it's going to be hot. You got to hydrate before the game. You got to hydrate during the game. You got to do everything you can. You got to get the cold towels. Every little bit that you can get to help, you got to do it. But first and foremost, you got to get yourself mentally prepared for what you're going to face.
They're going through some special circumstances here, Gunner, special things to ensure that they are prepared for this.
Yeah, and Seth touched on it, though. People I talked to earlier in the week said the key is staying hydrated, so the key from cramping up. Also, they're keeping the pickle juice handy for a game like this. They're bringing the pickle juice back. But Seth is right because, and we talked about this last week, a lot of times people don't realize football is mind over matter in a lot of cases. And if the mind is not right, the rest of it doesn't matter, So in this case, it's like going to Denver to play in that thin air up there. Here it's that heat and humidity. And, going down a day early is a good thing, but sometimes that's still not enough for the body to acclimate for what you're about to endure, especially the volume of water your body is about to release. Hopefully that doesn't come into play here in any way, shape, or form for key players, but you'll probably see a lot of key players, especially Eagles players, cramping up in a game like this.
The official report has it around 90 degrees around kickoff today for 1 o'clock in Tampa, but a feels like temperature of about 103. So that's what the Eagles are going to be dealing with. But you said pickle juice, Gunner, so automatically that clinches the victory.
There you go.
In all seriousness, though, we all know how much Jalen Hurts has struggled against Todd Bowles. Earlier in the week, Jalen Hurts, when he was addressing the media during his weekly press conference, said that he's just got weapons and he's got ideas when it comes to getting after the quarterback. Some of the worst numbers Jalen Hurts has put together in his career are against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's been sacked 9 times in 3 games. This is just the regular season. That's the second most against any non-NFC East opponent that Jalen Hurts has faced. Number 1 is 10 sacks, and that goes to Steve Spagnuolo and the Kansas City Chiefs. Also, you're talking about a passer rating of 71.5 against a Todd Bowles defense. What do they do against Jalen Hurts? What does Todd Bowles do against Jalen Hurts, Seth, that takes him off his mark?
Well, any great defense, the first thing they want to do is they want to get the run under control. And when they get the run under control, now they put you in situations where they can come after you with pressure. I think today won't be any different. Obviously they want to get Saquon going, but, Todd is going to try to figure out how to take that away. And last week we talked about in the first half, the run game wasn't really clicking, and it was the passing game that really got the offense going in the second half with Jalen, 20 for 28, throwing for over 200 yards in the second half alone. I think that potentially this may be another one of those games where, they may need to come out, go play action early, because where they get themselves in trouble is when they get in second and long D-gun and third and long situations. They've got to win on first down. And if they decide to throw it on first down and they're incomplete, don't come back and run that ball again on second down. If you make the decision on first down to throw the ball, you've basically committed against this football team to throwing it all 3 downs. Because if they get you in third and long, they're going to show you one thing from one side, confuse your protection, and bring somebody from the other side. And we know that the Eagles, their offense, they don't have sight adjustments built into their offense. They don't have hot routes built into their offense. Their sight adjustment is if you want to come with a zero blitz and you want to come and you want to bring max pressure, we're going to take shots down the field. That means that Jalen Hurts is going to have to deal with that free runner coming at him, and he's going to have to make a throw, and he's only going to get one read. It's either going to the right or going to the left, but whichever way he looks first, that's the only way that ball is going. So to me, the big thing is staying out of second and long and third and long situations. And listen, the Buccaneers defense is ranked 3rd in the National Football League on third downs. The Eagles offense is ranked 8th. You know, there's some interesting stats about this game, and I know I'm pulling these stats. It's a little early for it, but through 3 games, you know, I'd like to start to track this stuff starting now going forward. But there's some interesting matchups, offense to defense, defense to offense, and how the stats match up through 3 weeks for both of these football teams.
For Todd Bowles to run the type of Tampa 2 defense he's been running forever, first and foremost, you have to have a lot of trust in your cornerbacks. And you look at the revolving door of cornerbacks he's had at his plethora in the time that he's been down in Tampa. They always find a certain type of quarterback that they can trust on an island with the receiver to allow the 7 other guys in the box to do a lot of different things. He likes to keep constant pressure on quarterbacks. He likes to force quarterbacks in uncomfortable situations, and Seth is right. It starts with if they're able to control the line of scrimmage and the holes are not there for Saquon, Jalen's going to have to put the ball up in the air. That plays right into Todd Bowles' hands. And you don't know where it's coming from. You know, he's so good. His defensive scheme is so good in terms of disguising where blitzes are coming from. So Jalen's got to be ready with that. The one thing Jalen's good about that a lot of quarterbacks don't do. You see a lot of quarterbacks nowadays, when they feel that pressure, what do? Tuck that ball and duck. Try to save their bodies for another play. There's not a whole lot of Lamar Jacksons out there. Baker Mayfield's a scrambler. All of a sudden, at this stage of his career, has become that type of scrambler. But Jalen's going to have his head on the swivel in a game like this today. The difference between Jalen and a lot of different quarterbacks we watch in the NFL, his lower body strength is so good. How many times have we seen him shake off that initial guy trying to bring him down, which buys him an extra second or two to float to the right or to the left to try to find somebody open. So I would imagine Jalen's going to have to do a lot of tap dancing back there when he steps back to pass today.
All right, so we look at last week's lack of success in the first half versus last week's amazing offensive output that they were able to put together in the second half of that game. Was it sight adjustment? Obviously, let me get this out of the way. They had to throw the football. I know a lot of people are saying, well, where was that in the first half? Well, when you're behind like that in the second half, you're going to throw the football. So let's just get that out of the way. But why were they able to have so much success against the Rams in that second half, and how confident are you that they can carry over into this game?
Well, I think a lot of what they did is they went a little bit of hurry up. So they kind of caught them off guard, kind of wore them down a little bit. You know, if you're converting first downs and you're converting third downs, I should say, then you keep the opponents from getting, you know, the sub packages on the field. And the Rams had a little bit of a lead, so, you know, they were kind of feeling themselves a little bit. They started playing some man-to-man coverage, and that just played right into, you know, the Eagles' hands. And then there was times where they brought blitzes, and Jalen made them pay. It was pretty obvious to everybody that was watching that, you know, the adjustment at halftime was like, okay, we've tried to run the ball with efficiency in the first half. It hasn't worked. We've got to get to some of our RPO stuff because that's what's worked in the past with this football team, and we got to put the ball in Jalen's hands and allow him to, you know, to throw the football. You know, we've tried to protect him long enough. We got to take the straitjacket off. We got to take, you know, the tethers off. We got whatever it is. We got to cut him loose because if we don't, we're not going to win this football game. I honestly believe that was the mindset going into, you know, the second half. But there's a matchup, before I toss it over to D. Gunn, there's a matchup that I want to bring up. And I think not too many teams in the National Football League take advantage of this matchup. Jamel Dean, the starting cornerback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's a taller corner, long legs. And I'm not a big fan, D. Gunn, of like, there's very few 6'2", 6'3" cornerbacks in the National Football League that are successful because they're long striders. Any kind of stop and goes, you know, double moves type stuff, they stop their feet. And now they got a long stride. It takes them a lot longer to get up to top speed. Anytime I got Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown against Jamel Dean in a one-on-one situation, I'm double moving them and I'm taking them downtown, especially in situations where you got blitzes. Now, he's going to want to be, because he's a bigger corner, he's going to want to be a little more physical, especially with Devontae. But I think at the end of the day, that's a matchup that the Eagles can win mightily on. He's on the last year of his deal. He's betting on himself this year. You know, 1-year deal. He agreed to come back. So he's trying to do some things and get some things done. And I think the Eagles, if they game plan him the right way, double moves, especially on early downs where they don't have to worry about the blitz coming in, it has to be hot out of Jalen's hands. I think that that's a key matchup that they can make hay with.
You don't think they would try to move him over to match up more with an AJ? I mean, I don't think he's as physical as AJ, but because he's a taller type cornerback, because AJ is a tall receiver, you don't think they would try to do that?
He's not going to travel. I mean,
you don't think so?
He's going to stay on his side. The other guy's going to stay on their side, however it shakes out. But I just believe that that's a matchup, in my opinion, because if you double move him, now he's fast linear. Like, he can run with just about anybody in a linear fashion. But when you start making moves on him, especially a double move that makes him settle his feet to where, you can close his cushion, then all of a sudden he becomes a liability. And teams for the last 2 years have not capitalized on that matchup, and it blows my mind why they don't.
I don't understand why the Eagles don't run even more so the slant routes are open 9 times out of 10. I would run that route all day until you force the corners to come up and try to cheat, and then you burn them on the back end. Nobody can hold AJ on that slant route. And you look at how much respect he has. We always talk about the Eagles DBs playing with too much cushion and wide receivers they face. Look at how much cushion AJ gets when he lines up 7 to 9, 10 yards. I'd run that slant route all day. You only need 5, 6, 7 yards. Keep the clock moving, keep the ball in your hands. Eventually, a cornerback's going to get greedy. A defensive coordinator and cornerback are going to get greedy, going to start cheating up. From 10 yards to 7, 6, that's when you stick your foot in the ground and take it up the field on them. I don't see the Eagles do that enough. The Eagles are one of the few teams, I think they have one of the least amount of big plays through 3 weeks in the National Football League. When you have the arsenal of weapons at your disposal, there's no excuse for you not stretching a defense even more so. Now, we sit here and say, but they're 3-0. Yeah, they're 3-0. But they can do so much more in terms of not making these games as close as they've been.
Yeah, they're 3-0 with a point differential of 14
in
the NFL right now, which isn't great. But when you break it down to what happened last week and what's happened really throughout the season, one of the things we heard throughout last year was the idea of the Philadelphia Eagles being able to impose their will on other teams. A.J. Brown said it in the locker room this week. He said, it's great to take what the defense gives you, but we're a good enough, talented enough football team where we can take what we want. Those were A.J. Brown's words. I love the confidence, but I want to see more of that, as does everyone else, from this Eagles offense in particular. Has this become, from last week to this week, a shift almost in identity, or does it need to get away from a run-first team to a pass-first team, or can they continue on the path they're on right now?
Well, first of all, I don't believe that you can take whatever it is you want in this game. To me, that's a total lack of respect for defenses that you play against. Like, when you played against our defense, you wasn't taking anything. You was going to get what we gave you, because if we could stop you from running, we could certainly dictate, the passing game and how you could pass the ball, because we had the talent to cover any and everybody one-on-one situations, and we had the ability to either bring the blitz and make your quarterback uncomfortable, or we could rush 4. So I'm not so sure that I agree with, AJ's assessment that they could take whatever they wanted. If that was the case, they didn't do a whole lot of taking through the first 3 weeks. They did a little bit of taking in the second half last week, but through the first 2.5 games, they wasn't taking anything, As far as what their identity is going to be, I think that, everybody gets bent out of shape, and fans and media expects for this offense to be, an explosive, great offense. And there's nothing wrong with those expectations. But guess what? Those guys on the other side is wearing different color uniforms and different looking helmets. Those guys get paid to play the game too, okay? So those guys have spent a lot of time in the offseason trying to figure out how to defend and to beat the defending Super Bowl world champions. So you've got to make your adjustments as well. The game is always a game of adjustments. Like Vic Fangio said a couple of weeks ago, if you wait till halftime to start adjusting, then you've already lost the game. You've got to make adjustments on the fly. Now, the Eagles made the adjustment last week. The first 2 weeks, they made no adjustment to who they were and how they were going to play this game. They came out, they tried to run the ball, they tried to force it, no RPO, no read option. Last week, it didn't work in the first half. They came out, they implemented some RPO, they got Jalen running and moving, got him on the move. It opened up the passing game, opened up the running game a little bit, okay? Now they're playing against an opponent who expects them to run the ball, that's got a pretty good defense, and they are going to do everything that they can to stop them from running the football, because they know, like anybody else, if they can run the ball, play action comes alive, the RPO comes alive, the outside, all the outside, getting Jalen on the outside is a problem. So they're going to do everything they can to make the Eagles offense one-dimensional. The mindset has to be whatever it is, whatever it takes for us to win, we'll do it. And if you bump your head against the wall 3 times, understand, make the adjustment, and come out, go play action pass early and throw the ball. They're expecting for this offense and Kevin Patullo to come out and get Saquon going. Go play action pass. Don't wait until you've proven that you can't run. Do it while they expect for you to run. Now, that's going to begin to loosen things up. Like I said last week, sometimes you got to pass to run, and other times you got to run to pass. And a smart coaching staff has got to know the difference.
I don't think the Eagles will have a definitive identity in 2025. I think what we saw the first 3 weeks of the season is an example of what's to come. When you look at the type of schedule, look at the diversification of the opponents that they're facing this year, and the toughness of the schedule, I think we're going to see each and every week do what is necessary to get to the finish line ahead of your opponent. And the Eagles have shown that in the first 3 weeks. You know, we're still talking about a defense that's evolving. It's not a finished product because of the new pieces that have been implemented across the board on this defense. The offense is intact, but this is one of the few offenses in the National Football League where if you take the bread and butter away from certain offenses, you got them right where you want them. With this particular offense, they can adjust on the fly. You don't want to see it happen each and every week because eventually it's going to catch up to you somewhere along the line. But because of the wealth of talent they have with this offense, they can do whatever they want to do until you want to take the right hand away, we beat you with the left. You want to take the right foot away, we beat you with the left. They've shown that. You know, even the kicking game, the special teams is an integral part of being successful, as we saw last week for them holding off the Rams in the final seconds of that game. Very few teams in the National Football League can be that well-rounded. You know, it doesn't mean you're going to win every week, but it does mean that you win the majority of the games to put you in a position of where you want to be at the end of a regular season.
It's one of the things I love most about this era of Eagles football is that you talk about an identity. Yeah. They're a chameleon. Exactly. Their identity is whatever it takes to win.
Whatever it takes.
There's no better example of that than really the Super Bowl when the run was shut down. They played 25 attempts. And then last week, seeing what they were able to uncork in that second half. Now, when you talk about defenses being able to stop Saquon Barkley, you hear Saquon last week in the locker room talk about getting to that next level when there's 8 men in the box. It's, quote, finito when he gets past those 8 in the box. Then you also hear Devontae Smith talk this week about how when they send a zero blitz, he's got to beat one guy, and then it's a huge play out there. So are they stacking the box and blitzing more? What are they doing to make sure that Saquon Barkley is contained?
Well, listen, if you're not going to run the RPO and they go an 8-man box with single high safety, they have an advantage because they're always going to have a free hitter running at your running back. And last year they did a good job of running away from the free guy and getting on the edge where you're man-to-man blocking. And by the time, you know, the free safety reacts, you know, he's out the door. Like, you get Saquon Barkley on the last level guy, that's almost a done deal. That guy's not going to bring him down. Very, very rarely you're going to see that. What I see from the offense this year is they're running the ball a lot in the middle. They lined up with Saquon next to Jalen in the shotgun. Jalen just takes the snap and turns and hands it to him, and he's just running it straight ahead. They got to start running, getting to the edges. Run some of your zone plays. Run some of your RPOs to the weak side and get A.J. Brown involved on the slant, on the P in the RPO, on the weak side. Put these defensive ends in conflict. You know, when they start to get back to, and I get it, what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep Jalen from running the football as much as they can. Because if you put him in that situation, that defensive end is going to crash. Then they start running the crash slant stunt with the inside linebacker on that side, and now, you know, you got Jalen taking these hits. But you have to run that in order to open up your offense, and they've been reluctant to do it until the second half last week.
What are you seeing, Gunnar, when it comes to how they're trying to stop and take Saquon out of the game?
Well, we talked about this in our first show, the first pregame show we did. First and foremost, if you're a defensive coordinator, what are you going to do with the Eagles? That man does not bust us for 150 yards. That's the primary focus of their defensive scheme. And you see, that's why you see a lot of these secondaries are playing more man coverage on the Eagles now, because they're putting 7, 8 guys in the box. And the Eagles have not taken advantage of that to the fullest, which is perplexing to me when you have the wealth of talent they have. Tight end, wide receivers, even take the running back, flare them out, let them run wheel routes. They're not doing that much. It's like they're playing into the opposition's hand and making these games a lot closer than they really should be. And that's no disrespect to the teams that they're playing. It's just that if we're sitting here watching this stuff, why are they not doing it on the field? Now, this man played the game for, double digits in his career, over a decade. We've watched enough football. We see this concept. Why are the Eagles off? I understand Kevin Patullo is evolving in his role, but it's not like he came off the streets to run this offense. He was already in-house. All you doing is all you do is pass the baton on to the next guy. It's not that hard to do. Stop making it harder than it should be to put defenses on his heels more and quicker in the game instead of later in the game.
All right, when we come back on the Verizon pregame show, Gunnar, that is a perfect segue. We're going to talk about Kevin Patullo and what Jalen Hurts had to say about his offensive coordinator and play caller during his press conference this week during our Say What segment. And also, Jared Verse just lays down the law when it comes to Jalen Hurts. We'll talk about that and more when we return on the Verizon pregame show.
I know what you're thinking. Total glow up. What's her secret? Fine, I'll spill. I totally upgraded with Verizon. Everyone gets a free phone with any plan, even if you're already a customer, like me. Now I have Google Gemini. It's like a little glam squad in my pocket. Gemini, what eye makeup goes with this lipstick?
I'd suggest a classic cat eye.
Wow, setting the bar high for daycare pickup. Get in on this.
There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen. There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen.
There is a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen. There's a number on the screen.
Since 1893, Weber Display and Packaging has been Pennsylvania's leading manufacturer of corrugated packaging and displays. We're family-owned with 4 Philadelphia locations, 2 converting facilities, a warehouse, and a fulfillment center. Designed through delivery, we exceed customer needs. Weber Display and Packaging. Our core values drive everything we do. Come join our team.
This upcoming segment is brought to you by Verizon. Welcome back to the Verizon pregame show. Mark Farzetta, Seth Joyner, and Derek Gunn. And now let's open it up for our Say What segment. This one, Gunner, you actually sent to us here, and it has to do with Jared Verse and really just stating just how good Jalen Hurts is and how the NFL needs to respect the reigning Super Bowl MVP.
They got dogs across on the skill positions, and Jalen, he's a good quarterback. If you don't respect his throwing ability, I know a lot of people go like, "Oh, he can't throw. He's only a runner." Like, nah, he can throw. Like that's he's a quarterback in the National Football League for a reason. Like I don't know why people would be saying that. So that's just on us. We lost that game ourselves, like I said.
All right, I know Jared Verse has not had the nicest things in the world to say about Philadelphia Eagles fans, hates it here, all that stuff. He was certainly caught with his pants down, unfortunately, on the sideline after saying, after they make this game-winning field goal, see you later, that whole thing, and then that obviously backfired. Thank you, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. But him saying this, I think, will get a lot more attention from the talking heads around the nation that don't watch every snap Jalen Hurts play. I will say,
I've known to the punch because I was going to say no.
I will say this: I have the utmost respect for Jalen Hurts. I've told you guys, and going into the season when I was ranking quarterbacks, I have him as number 2. There's one quarterback I'd take in the NFL over Jalen Hurts, and that guy's name is Patrick Mahomes, which I think you have to respect. But Jalen Hurts this year has been absolutely phenomenal, and for those people that want to throw passing numbers out there, I don't care. This guy is at the head of he's at the front of the lines when it comes to finding a way to get back into a game and win that football game. There's hardly anybody else. Again, one person maybe I'd take over Jalen Hurts right now. What I have noticed in this past week after that second half are the national media members say, well, Jalen Hurts, he's really good quarterback. After an offseason of ranking him below Justin Herbert and all these other guys, they're finally starting to give him some respect that he has deserved. But Jared Verse saying this, I think, gets a little bit more attention on just how good and versatile Jalen Hurts is.
No.
They're still hating?
No.
Too much hating on Jalen Hurts?
No, Jalen Hurts gets his respect week to week. It varies. It's like the weather. It's week to week. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Okay? When you look at a Jalen Hurts, and we can't emphasize this enough, all the man does is find ways to help win football games, okay? When you look at a lot of these other quarterbacks that are christened great quarterbacks, they get that billing from the start of the season to the end of the season, even if they don't get their teams to the playoffs, even if they don't get deep in the playoffs, even if they don't get to the Super Bowl. But everything Jalen does is predicated on what he does week to week. And I can't say this enough. It continues to baffle me. Why is he put on this island more so than any other quarterback, starting quarterback in the National Football League? The man's been to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. He outdueled Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl he lost, and came back and outdueled him again in the Super Bowl he won. You look at his numbers across the board. He doesn't put up the gaudy numbers. Okay, right now, Jalen Hurts is 28th in passing yards in the National Football League. He's completing 71% of his passes. How many quarterbacks can say that? He hasn't thrown an interception yet. He had 1 turnover, and I'm looking at all these other quarterbacks that he stacked up against week in and week out, and you look at their numbers across the board, especially at the end of a season. And Jalen doesn't come close to the interceptions, the turnovers that these quarterbacks have, but yet they win the MVP, regular season MVPs. You know, they're put on this pedestal that they can do no wrong. They're football gods. You know, but what have you done to put yourself there other than put up gaudy fantasy football numbers? That's it. The bottom line is who's hoisted the trophy? What have you done to help your team more so than you hurt your team? This man, Jalen Hurts, does it consistently to help his team, yet his eyeball measurement is based on week to week compared to every other quarterback that starts in the National Football League.
Well, you preaching to the choir on Sunday. Can I say, can I get an amen?
Amen.
I think at the end of the day, game recognizes game. When you talk to players in the National Football League, they know who can play and who can't play. Just because you're on, some talk show every morning on ESPN or Fox or wherever you are, doesn't necessarily mean you know a damn thing about football. You just know how to talk, and you don't really know how the game actually operates. I'm just fearful, D-Gun, that we've moved into this era, Mark, where fantasy football and the betting side of football has become so prolific and so preeminent that it clouds the judgment of people and their ability to see the game for what it really is. Because if you got Jalen Hurts or A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley on your fantasy football team, okay, you're pretty damn pissed off right about now, okay? Even last week, the Eagles plus 3.5, okay? So they turn around and they took the Rams. And then that blocked field goal and that touchdown by Jordan Davis just dumped everybody on their necks, So if you don't think that these things have something to do with why some people feel the way that they do about Jalen Hurts in this offense, you're crazy. Because there's a lot of money that's floating around that's exchanging hands from week to week. And when you're not making your fantasy people happy and you're not winning the games, in a way that allows you to make money, that kind of bleeds over into, some of the conversation. It's sad, but I find it is true because that's the only other explanation I can come up with why these nitwits sit around all day and say the things that they say. There's this little short guy over on FS1 on early in the morning, he lost his mind. Every single week, he comes back with something else. And I'm like, the only thing that Jalen does is win. So you can love whoever else it is that you love. You can like whoever that you like. But just like Jared Verse did, give this man his credit. He's won a Super Bowl. He's a Super Bowl MVP. He's been to the Pro Bowl. There are quarterbacks out here that have been drafted higher than him, that's quote unquote rated higher than he is, that hasn't come close to accomplishing what this guy has accomplished. Guys who have league MVPs in their back pockets, who haven't accomplished what he's accomplished, and some of them, dare I say, by the way that they play, they might not ever get there. And this kid has an opportunity to not only go to 2 and 3 years, but he's got an opportunity over the next couple of years to maybe get 1 or 2 more, okay? So listen, my mom used to always say, son, don't worry about it, because when you good, you good, and they can't take that away from you. The only thing they can do over time is they got to respect the fact that you good. So you just keep working and keep doing what you're doing. Jalen, just keep working and doing what you're doing. Sooner or later, they're going to have to respect your ass.
You know what annoys me the most about this topic of conversation that continues to be topic of conversation week in and week out? You can understand the fantasy people because basically they're the fans who are playing in the league office pools and all this stuff. It's about their money and the positioning and things like this. But the voices that carry the most weight in terms of critiquing Jalen are former players that are sitting in these studios across the board critiquing him. Guys who played the game at the highest level, who show the most disrespect in terms of Jalen's ability, consistent ability in what he's been. And I don't get that. Jalen Hurts has given nobody any reason to dislike him when there's been a lot of players in this league that give you reasons to dislike you. Jalen doesn't say anything really controversial. I wish Jalen would tell us more because a lot of times I'm trying to figure out what the heck he's saying, But he gives you just enough for you to hold on to and to think about. What is it about this man's aura, his demeanor, that people just don't give him the utmost respect? More so former players. Current players, like Seth said, they have to. They know what this man can do once he steps under center. But you look at the pundits who are critiquing Jalen, they played this game a long time. They played at the highest level. And whether they played the position or played across from the position, they know what it takes to succeed at this level, and yet they still won't give this man his due week in and week out.
Could it be possible, D-Gun, that it's more contrived than truth that they really believe it to be? Because to your point, it's hard for you to have played the game at the highest level and watch this kid play and then come out with some of the nonsense that you come out with. So sometimes, I'm a conspiracy theorist, okay? Because what I realize that most things that are conspiracies wind up being facts sooner or later, okay? So this is my conspiracy, is that I don't believe that the NFL really likes Jeffrey Lurie and the Philadelphia Eagles. And that kind of thing kind of bleeds off into a lot of different directions, whether it's, how the network looks at the organization, how the network looks at Jalen Hurts, and what they want you to say, okay, while you're on their air. That's why we are here doing what we're doing, because I don't tell Mark what to say, I don't tell Derrick what to say, and they don't tell me what to say. Whatever's in my mind and in my heart, that's what comes out. Like it or not, that's what we do here. Because I believe that journalism and what we do, the way we do it, should be fair and equitable. And you should be able to voice your opinion without worrying about being canceled. So when you're working for these major organizations, sometimes they want you to say certain things a certain way, okay? And if that's the case, could that be why you got players who played 9, 10, 11, 12 years in the National Football League, guys who played the position of quarterback but wasn't worth a damn when they played? They got so many opinions about Jalen Hurts and how he plays the position. But I'm like, he did what you can never do, bro. That's right. How you going to hate on that man?
Right. Exactly.
One thing I will say, last thing on it, and just 30 more seconds on this, but second-round bias? Does that have anything to do with it?
No.
You're talking about these first-round picks?
I think so.
You think so?
I
Okay.
think so.
That is a theory that's out there.
There's been successful second-round draft
well,
pick quarterbacks.
Tom
in the
Brady,
National Football
sixth-round
League.
pick. But for whatever reason, Jalen, everyone else is a first-round pick that they're putting above Jalen Hurts.
That's their problem. If they were drafted higher and flopped, that's their problem.
You think it is part of
They
the
have to look in the mirror themselves.
The NFL is all about perceptions and how they look, okay? So anytime that you get a guy, it's like myself. Like, the year before I made my first Pro Bowl was probably my best statistical year. But they were like, oh, let's see if he'll do it again. If I was a first-round draft pick, I would have been a Pro Bowler that year.
Ninth? You were ninth?
Eighth-round pick.
Eighth-round pick. Sorry.
In 92, I think it was, 91 or 92, I came in second in the defensive player of the year balloting, okay? I guarantee, and we went number one across the board in every statistical category, and nothing against the guy that actually won. But my thing is, okay, how can I be the MVP on the best defense in that year, okay, and that guy, because he got 15 sacks, wins the MVP? In my mind, it's like, okay, show us again. Show us again that you can duplicate those types of numbers all over again. And I've seen it. A guy that's drafted in the first round is going to get 3-4 years to get it right, or screw it up and get it right again, okay? A guy that's drafted second round, quarterback drafted in the second round, or a player that's drafted late, they don't have great expectations. And if you don't succeed, you know, like there's a difference between drafting a quarterback in the top 10 and drafting a quarterback 53rd overall. If that guy in the 53rd overall, there's no expectation for him to come in and be the face of your franchise. But if you spend a top 10 pick, you expect for that guy to develop and be the face of your franchise for the next 15 years. And when it doesn't work out, okay, it looks bad not only for the organization and their whole staff and how they evaluate talent, but it looks bad for the NFL. So it looks bad for the NFL for Jalen Hurts to be playing at the level that he's playing, to be winning Super Bowls, to be attending Super Bowl, to be winning at the clip that he's winning, and all of these other quarterbacks that are top 10 picks with the exception of Lamar Jackson, who was drafted 32nd overall, still in the first round, last pick of the first round. Okay, all these other quarterbacks aren't accomplishing what Jalen's accomplishing. Okay, so if you put Jalen up there, now it makes all these other GMs, all these other teams, makes the league look stupid, like they don't know what they're doing, like they don't have a clue. Like, how can you miss on Jalen Hurts in the process of getting all of these quarterbacks that you think Daniel Jones and, you know, and all these other quarterbacks that's drafted in the first round, the top 10. I mean, all of these quarterbacks. But Jalen's winning, Jalen's superseding all of these quarterbacks. Come on, don't tell me that there's not a first round bias, man. I'm not believing that.
Brett Favre, Drew Brees, Kenny Stabler.
How far back we going?
Far back as you want. How many misses? How many times?
No,
it's
in the
enough.
First round?
They're all second-round picks.
No, you're right.
Pretty good careers.
You're right. It's just odd that this guy's been to 2 Super Bowls, been runner-up, by the way, in the MVP award for the regular season, finishing only second to Patrick Mahomes, and still not getting the respect. Now, there's one more thing, and we want to hear from Jalen Hurts himself. Now, this was I think that Kevin Patullo is in a very similar situation that Nick Sirianni was in last year, which is any good play was obviously Kellen Moore's idea. Any bad play, that had to be Nick Sirianni meddling in the play calling, right? Well, now you have a guy like Kevin Patullo, who everyone thinks that if a good play happens, it's simply because of Jalen Hurts and not because of the offensive coordinator and play caller. Earlier in the week, when the question was asked of Nick Sirianni following the Rams game in his Monday afternoon press conference, he said simply, Kevin was calling the plays. Well, at his press conference, Jalen Hurts, he gave a tip of the cap in our Say What segment here to Kevin Patullo for being able to make adjustments in the second half. Take a listen.
We put ourselves in a position, and we approached the game in a different way. And, you know, you have games like that. And I think as a unit, you know, we found a way to get it going. And I give a lot of credit to KP in that. Being able to adjust and see and get us in a direction.
Gentlemen, I will ask you, Seth, I'll start with you. How much credit does Kevin Patullo deserve for the second half turnaround?
I don't think we'll ever know. You know, I saw a very animated Jalen Hurts on the sideline, you know, throughout the game. And then I saw the offense flip on his head and make a complete U-turn. So I don't know. I mean, listen. They're not going to throw each other under the bus at the end of the day. Like Jalen Hurts, no Nick Sirianni is going to come on and say, hey, you know, Jalen decided to take over the offense and we went to 2 minute the entire second half and Jalen was calling all the plays at the line of scrimmage. Well, guess what? Kevin Patullo is in Jalen's ear up to 15 minutes into the final of the play clock. So there is some conversation that's going on, albeit maybe one way. There's some conversation that's going on, and there's some direction. So Jalen seems like a stand-up type person to me. If he said that, you know, Kevin Patullo has something to do with it, then, you know, who am I to say that that's not true until I get some other information that confirms it to be different.
Derrick Gunn, what are you hearing?
Perfect. He looked at me like, Gunn, you going to tell me something? No, you took the words right out of my mouth. Kevin Patullo draws the outlines, and like a painting, you know, Jalen colors in the portrait. And that's the way it should be. That's when you have simpatico between your offensive coordinator and your quarterback. And that's the way it should be. Now, obviously, you know, things are a lot smoother when you're winning more so than you're losing. But the bottom line is they're at a point now where Jalen knows what he's seeing across the line of scrimmage. You know, these people say, you know, maybe Kevin and Nick don't trust Jalen to do this, that, and the other. Jalen has a right, like any frontline quarterback, when he steps to that line of scrimmage, if he sees something he doesn't like, to veer out of it and go in a different direction. I don't know why people keep putting all these negative spins on the situation. But Kevin Patullo calls the plays. You know, that much I do know. He calls the plays. Jalen delivers the message. When you get to the line of scrimmage, like any good quarterback, if you see something out of sync, either call timeout or you adjust on the fly. And 9 times out of 10, Jalen has made the right adjustments. Plain and simple. That's why it works.
You know why, D-Gun? Because I was driving down the street when that narrative got started last week.
About who called the plays?
No, about them not trusting him.
Oh, okay.
And it pissed me off so bad that I just turned the radio off. You know, it was a conversation, you know, around noontime on WIP.
Oh, geez.
And it grew, you know. And I'm driving down the road. I'm like, this makes no sense. You know, you're talking about a quarterback who just won the Super Bowl, just won the Super Bowl MVP, okay? Mm-hmm. Albeit, you know, getting there, it was about Saquon. When it really mattered the most, it became about Jalen, okay? Mm-hmm. And you're going to sit here and tell me that all of a sudden, through the first 2.5 weeks of the season, that they don't trust Jalen to throw the football because they only got him throwing it. I mean, I had to turn the radio off. And I'm like, and I get it. It's hard to do radio for 4 hours.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
So you got to come up with some bullshit. Excuse my French on Sunday morning, but you got to come up with some bullshit to talk about, you know, for 4 hours every day. That's the only logical explanation or reason that I can come up that you would let something so silly come out of your mouth to be a topic of conversation, especially in this city where people will take things like that and run with it.
Here's the best way to put it, because I've asked a couple of people in the know about this, in particular about the trust they have in Jalen. And someone told me, Dion, let me put it to you like this. Name a corporation, a successful business, where you're going to pay an employee $250 million and you don't trust them with the keys to and I said, they said, come on, D-Gun. I said, wait. I'm not saying, don't put me in this category. I'm asking you the question that's out there forever. They said, it's the stupidest thing ever. You know, and he went on to say, I feel bad that you have to answer the question because we don't. And that's the bottom line. They don't. We gave this man the money because we trust him. Now, you in the media have to sit out there and continue to battle these idiotic statements and conversations. I feel bad for you, D-Gun, but we don't have to worry about that.
Fair enough. All right, when we come back, we're going to take a look behind enemy lines at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and who they're going to be throwing at the Philadelphia Eagles to try to come away by handing the Eagles a loss and obviously them a victory today in Tampa. All that and more when we return on the Verizon pregame show.
At Revolution X, we know that fortunes are made in times of uncertainty. Are you selling your investment real estate? Are you interested in deferring your tax with a 1031 exchange? At RevX, we're experts in 1031 exchange planning and the use of passive real estate options using DSTs. Not in the midst of an exchange and want to invest in real estate but don't know where to start? Revolution X has institutional-grade real estate options for any size investor right now. Set up a consultation at RevXWealth.com. RevX, defer the tax, maximize the gain.
Gentlemen, are you ready for a wardrobe update? Introducing Divine Nine's Custom Menswear, your clothier for truly unique, custom-made threads. With Divine Nine, you can design your own one-of-a-kind suit, jacket, slacks, shirts, golf pants, and shorts, perfectly handcrafted by our skilled artisans who will bring your vision to life. Prepare to stand out from the crowd with Divine Nine's Custom Clothier, official clothier of Seth Joyner. Custom clothing made for you.
Successful businesses love the path. Here at Mid-Penn Bank, our focus is to make sure that happens. Whether it's consumer lending, commercial lending, wealth, insurance, all of your planning, we want to make sure that whatever you're doing, we're looking at it holistically and taking care of you. So reach out to someone
Pride, passion, and persistence. These are the values that drive us all at Ron Jaworski Golf. We strive to deliver outstanding conditions as well as playability for golfers of all ages and abilities. Our championship golf courses offer a variety of challenges, from a link-style walk along the river to an escape into the pines and everything in between. My team at Ron Jaworski Golf is committed to delivering memorable experiences every single day. See all we do at ronjaworskigolf.com.
This upcoming segment is brought to you by Recovery Unplugged. Welcome back to the Verizon pregame show. At this point of the show every week, we like to go behind enemy lines and see what the Eagles' opponent is going to be throwing in their face. I'll take the first one this week, gentlemen. I know that Mike Evans is not going to be in this game for the for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Eagles will not have to face the future Hall of Famer Mike Evans, who only every single year goes out there and gets at least 1,000 yards. But still, there's a wide receiver, a rookie albeit, out there making plays for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense and their quarterback Baker Mayfield. Emeka Egbuka is dealing so far, looking at him, how he's been approaching this season. You're talking about just under 13 yards per receptions, 3 touchdowns so far this season, and already this is top 10 in the NFL, 4 receptions of 20-plus yards. And if you guys didn't see that one-handed catch last week against the Jets, on Sauce Gardner, by the way, who had him blanketed in coverage, he just said, go, gadget arm, reached out, one-handed, and brought that baby in there. That was an incredible play. He is going to be a tall order for this Eagles defense. Gunnar, who are you going after?
I'm going with the ancient warrior, Lavonte David. I mean, this man has been anything and everything to this Tampa Bay defense. He is the jackhammer to this Tampa Bay defense, even at the age of 35. He'll be 36 in December. He's third on the team in tackles right now. You know, when he came out of college, they tried to make him a safety because they thought he was too undersized to be a linebacker in the National Football League. He said, let me show you something. For a while, they called him Thumper because this man was blowing people up. And still at 35 years old, when you play that position, your body takes that kind of wear and tear. Seth will tell you, you got to wear it down at some point. Your body, you get to a point mentally like, I don't want to do this anymore. This man is still going strong. Todd Bowles has the utmost respect for him. He is the heart and soul of that Tampa defense, and he's going to be bringing it today. Keep it on, old man Lavonte David.
I just want to stay on him for a second because the last time we were really worried about Jalen Hurts turning the ball over with regularity, the man that forced that last turnover was Lavonte David. When Jalen Hurts tried to wind up in that phone booth, Lavonte David came in. Jalen Hurts was able to sidestep the blitz initially, and then he forced the fumble after that. So that's the guy that really started. He was the final call there, really, for Jalen Hurts when it came to turning the football over. Seth, who are you looking at today?
As always, I feel like, especially with Mike Evans out of this game today, that, the Eagles' defense, again, they rank 24th against the run, believe it or not. They're giving up 133 yards per game. So Tampa Bay's offensive coordinators got to look at that statistic and feel like they can make some hay running the football. When you think about that, you think about one Bucky Irvin, a little guy, but a guy that's got a lot of pop. Through 3 games, he's got 174 yards rushing on 56 attempts. I don't know what that average comes out to, but I guarantee you it's pretty good. And then what it does, it allows Baker Mayfield to then get into, his play action passing, situation. I think them running the football today is going to be critical to Baker's success because he's not going to have the tall, long-bodied, Mike Evans to lean on and rely on. Now he's going to get, these names are like leaving me today. Chris Godwin? So he's going to get Chris Godwin back today, and obviously, your pick with Emeka, but Mike Evans is a whole different animal. To miss a guy like that, that's a big deal. So I think, they're going to come out and try to push the ball, push the running game early, get that established, try to wear down the defense as much as they can, and then go play action pass and, all their bootlegs and misdirections off of that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Bucky Irvin reminds me a lot of a guy they just faced in Kyron Williams. Small running back, gets low, great center of gravity, tough to bring down. So the Eagles have already had a sample of what they're going to face today last week. And, of course, unfortunately, we saw how the Rams were opening up holes in the middle of that line of scrimmage early on in the game until they basically sat down and played not to lose in the second half of that game. I expect to see Bucky Irvin running the same type of game today. Fortunately for the Eagles, Tampa Bay's offensive line is banged up. They're not as stout as they normally are. They do get Tristan Wirfs back today. They're not as stout as they usually are between the two guard positions and the center. But I expect Tampa Bay to test that interior of that Eagles defensive line today.
The big test and the big thing that you're going to have to watch today in this running matchup is can the Eagles get the run game under control in their 6-man front? 4 downs, 2 linebackers. They had to go to a lot of 5-man front last week to kind of get that under control. You know, if my memory serves me correct, I think in the first half of the Rams game, the Rams rushed for 97 yards in the first half alone. Then they held them to 18 in the second half because they primarily went to a 5-man look. You know, they just took Jahai Campbell and, you know, they slid the line over, put him up on the line. I think he had 19 pass rushes last week. I would love for them to be able to get that run game today under control from a 6-man front rather than, 4-man front rather than the 5-man look. But we'll see.
Fair enough. One thing, we're talking about Baker Mayfield and also talking about how they're able to use a guy like Bucky Irving. They use him in the passing game as well, in those short yardage passes, those swing passes and all that. I can still remember Avonte Maddox flying by Bucky Irving, missing the tackle last year as he scampered in for a touchdown, unfortunately. And then we talked about turnovers changing from last game against the Buccaneers to now. Also, tackling got a lot better after that. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson obviously had tackling issues last year. You brought in Cooper DeJean in your defense to become your starting nickel corner and all that. So the Eagles, this for me, I think, is a measuring stick game. People will always look at the Kansas City Chiefs taking them on in the Super Bowl rematch. But this is a game to for the Eagles to check themselves, to see how much better they got, especially against the defensive mind of a guy like Todd Bowles.
I think it's a bigger game than even that, Mark, because this is, this team is sort of the Eagles' nemesis. I mean, the Eagles have lost the last 3 out of 4 matchups, and 2 of those were in the playoffs. They beat Tampa down in Tampa, I think 2 years ago.
Yeah, 25-11.
Yeah. They won down there as they were on a little bit of a run, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have beat them, twice in the playoffs and 3 out of the last 4 times. This is a time where I feel like they need to get the Tampa Bay Buccaneers off their back, and they need to flip this thing and figure out figure out Todd Bowles and this blitzing thing, because there's always a tell. Sooner or later, you got to figure out what the tell is. How's he coming at us, and what situations is he coming at us? What precipitates him being aggressive opposed to times where he's not aggressive? Okay. And what does the sugar side of a blitz look like opposed to the side where they're actually coming from? It's just time. It's time for everything about this matchup to be flipped on its head, for not to have Baker Mayfield to shred us like Mexican foods, salad bar lettuce, like he did last year. You know what I'm saying? Last year. Right. That game last year, he got whatever he wanted.
1.7 seconds snap to release, I believe.
Yeah, and then you had Avonte Maddox out there chirping with Mike Evans. Hey man, you still play Game of Thrones? I'm like, get this fool out of this game, man.
Game of Thrones.
I don't even think it was that.
I forget what Call of Duty maybe. I don't know. That's great.
Call of Duty.
That's great. Oh, I do remember that. It was a haunting game, unfortunately, last year. Hey, look. We understand we're 3 weeks into the season, and Seth, we haven't given these people, other than fine commentary and our charming personalities, we haven't given them anything. What are we giving them this year?
Well, we got a ton of jerseys to give away. I think we've got a Jason Kelce jersey, a Brandon Graham jersey, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, Cooper DeJean, Jalen Carter. I'm sure there's 1 or 2 in there. Of course, there's a 59 jersey in there. They're all Kelly Green jerseys. We've got, I think, 3 games that we're giving away tickets. 2 games will be in a box tickets. What else? We got helmets, footballs, and we're starting our giveaway coming up next week. And to just, we know people love free stuff, so we're probably going to start, I think I'm going to adjust. Instead of giving away in the post-game show, I may start giving away some stuff to people who show up, in the pregame show.
Early, all right.
Yeah, Yeah. So if you get on with us.
That includes we have a shot?
Yeah.
We got a shot to win?
No, it includes you.
Yeah.
I just want you to know you'll never win, but it includes you.
Man, 2 years in a row.
You can put your name in the hat. That's when we pull it. You might look at it and be like,
out, yeah.
nope.
No, that's not.
Hey, listen, I like free stuff. I'm sure everybody out there likes free stuff, and we got a lot of free stuff, nice stuff that we're going to give away. To say thank you for you guys tuning in to our show.
A wise man once said, "If it's free,
it's for
me."
As a matter of fact, I'll take 3.
Free 99.
We'll be back in a moment on the Verizon pregame show with our official predictions for Eagles Buccaneers coming up at 1 o'clock today when we return.
At MidPenn Bank, we believe in the power of community. We're not just another bank, we're your bank. We're also your neighbor. For over 150 years, we've been helping dreams come true, financing projects that make a difference locally. From small businesses to community centers, we're here to support what matters most to you, donating time and resources to strengthen the Philadelphia region. And when Philly's favorite superstars need a bank they can trust, they turn to MidPenn Bank just like you can. MidPenn Bank. Stronger communities, stronger futures. Let's build something great together.
At Revolution X, we know that fortunes are made in times of uncertainty. Are you selling your investment real estate? Are you interested in deferring your tax with a 1031 exchange? At RevX, we're experts in 1031 exchange planning and the use of passive real estate options using DSTs. Not in the midst of an exchange and want to invest in real estate but don't know where to start? Revolution X has institutional-grade real estate options for any size investor right now. Set up a consultation at RevXWealth.com. RevX, defer the tax, maximize the gain.
Gentlemen, are you ready for a wardrobe update? Introducing Divine Nine's Custom Menswear, your clothier for truly unique, custom-made threads. With Divine Nine, you can design your own one-of-a-kind suit, jacket, slacks, shirts, golf pants, and shorts, perfectly handcrafted by our skilled artisans who will bring your vision to life. Prepare to stand out from the crowd with Divine Nine's Custom Clothier, official clothier of Seth Joyner. Custom clothing made for you.
Don't hurt him, Kev. All dripped up. Got the new iPhone 17 Pro, and Verizon picked up the tab on the best 5G network, baby.
No way.
It's me. Handsome and hilarious.
No way.
No way. I know. I'm even finer in person. Ooh.
No way.
Wait, it was about the iPhone? Come on.
New and existing customers can get the new iPhone 17 Pro on us, on the best 5G network.
That's real nice.
This upcoming segment is brought to you by Weber Display and Packaging. Welcome back to the Verizon pregame show. Marc Farzetta, Seth Joyner, and Derrick Gunn ahead of the Philadelphia Eagles down for a hot one in Tampa Bay against the Buccaneers. There's some good news here before we get into our predictions. There is pickle juice in Tampa Bay. The Eagles brought it with them, maybe even bought it down there as well, just to make sure they stay hydrated, don't get crampy while they're down there in Tampa Bay. Also, it feels like temperature once again of 104 in Tampa. 92 degrees should be right around there at Tampa, right around kickoff as well. Let's get first our players to bank on, brought to you by MidPenn Bank. Our predictions. Gunner, I'll start with you. Who do you think we're going to be banking on today?
Man, I think Jalen's going to have to put the ball in the air today for this team to be successful. Todd Bowles is not going to let Saquon Barkley run up and down the field. So I think they're going to come out throwing the football. I'm going to take the easy way. I'm going to go Jalen this week.
Taking Jalen to bank on. Seth Joyner, where are you going?
I'm going right in the middle of the defense, and I'm going 2 guys. I'm taking Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. Because, you know, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have got some issues on the interior of their offensive line, and I look for them to dominate. They're going to have to dominate from that spot, push the pocket, get Baker Mayfield to move off of his spot in order to have some success. Plus, they're going to figure in the run game early because Tampa Bay is going to come out and try to establish the run game to keep the defense on the field.
I'm gonna stay on the defense side of the ball here too. I'm gonna go with Cooper DeJean. I mean, be that difference maker. I mean, this was the guy that was almost like a free agent acquisition, a big signing after their unfortunate Week 4 implosion against Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year. So let me go ahead and see you be the difference in this game, and let me see you pick off Baker Mayfield. Now, I could say Quinyon Mitchell as well, but I think he's going to have a certain someone on lockdown, even though he is my guy that I want to see the Eagles be able to shut down today in Ibuka. So that's what I want to see from Cooper DeJean and also Quinyon Mitchell. As far as official predictions, gentlemen, I'll take the first bite at this one. I think this is the game that you're going to see Jalen Hurts play at a very high level. I mentioned the numbers earlier, 57% completion percentage against Todd Bowles in just the regular season in their 3 previous matchups. Unfortunately, just going 1-2 over that time. They've also gotten after Jalen Hurts 9 sacks. 9 times they've brought him down, second most against a non-NFC East opponent. But I think this is the day Jalen Hurts cracks the code. Philadelphia Eagles come out on top of this one, 31-24. Gunnar, what are you feeling?
Let's see. Baker Mayfield's playing with a biceps injury. Tristan Wirfs is coming off injuries. Chris Godwin is making his debut for the season, coming off an ankle injury as well. Their roster's not nearly as deep as the Eagles roster, even though the Eagles will have to combat the Heat and the Buccaneers. I do think the better roster will prevail. It will be one of those back alley brawl type games. Eagles come out on top as they have done 3 previous weeks in a nail-biter, 23-20.
23-20. Derrick Gunn.
I think it's going to be another close game for the Eagles just because they're on the road and who they're playing against. But for all the same reasons, that D. Gunn mentioned, I just think that this is one of those games for the Philadelphia Eagles where they've got to get over this nemesis that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in their conference and, establish themselves to the fact that they can go to Tampa or Tampa can come to Philly and they can win. Like I said, they've lost the last 3 out of 4 games that they played against them. I got the Eagles winning 21-17 on another close game. Maybe not as close as, we would like for it to be. Maybe Baker throws a late touchdown, in junk time to make it look like it's closer than it really is. And, oh, by the way, didn't Jalen Carter get fined again this week for taunting? I think he got fined like that, another $11,000.
You don't give away money. Give
that
it
boy,
to
hey, listen, exactly.
Give it to the Help D Gun Get Better Foundation. But
the Derrick Gunn Fund?
Yeah, the Derrick Gunn. Right. Help a Brother Out Foundation. Here's the interesting thing about Tampa Bay real quick. For the first time in the Super Bowl era, Tampa Bay has won all 3 of its games in the final minute of the game. That has never happened in the Super Bowl era where a team has won the first 3 games. Lady Luck has shined brightly on Tampa Bay. Today, the clouds come out of Tampa Bay in their home stadium.
Thank you for mentioning that. Eagles, again, plus 14 in point differential so far this season. The Bucs, plus 6 through 3 games this season. People think the Eagles have trouble putting away teams or controlling a game. Bucs not so great at that either, unfortunately for them, but fortunately for the Eagles today. For Derrick Gunn, for Seth Joyner, I'm Mark Farzetta. We appreciate you guys joining us here on the Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel, also 6abc.com, and we also appreciate you guys if you like and subscribe to the Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel. We'll be back with you guys. How dare I? How dare I forget this? I think we might be replaced here, Derrick.
Really?
Soon.
I've been waiting for that for weeks. Seth can give me the evil eye every week. So I expect it.
Seth, I think he's been talking to other people. I think he actually, a very prominent Philadelphia sports figure, as a matter of fact. Do we have the clip of them connecting?
What?
This is, oh my goodness, look at this.
The
Philly
cute.
fanatic.
How cute.
That might be sitting in here pre and post next week. I don't know. He sees our friend Seth Joyner. Seth's just chilling at the game, trying to have himself a good time. And he gets the praise he so rightfully deserves from the historic Philly fanatic. Look at this. Look, you guys totally bro out in this, too.
Got the hat on backwards?
That's chemistry right there, Gunner. I'm worried.
I like that.
I had the hat on backwards because, the Phillies were up 1-0. They won the game 1-0. My wife decided she wanted to go to a Phillies game, so I took her to the game. We had great seats. We were right behind home plate. And in the 9th inning, at the end of the 8th inning, it started raining.
Oh.
It was an hour and a half delay. And I didn't pay any attention to the fact that the only thing we had was for the Marlins to come up and bat in the top of the 9th, and the game was over. So we waited an hour and a half to watch them go down in flames and three straight batters to get out of there, and the Phillies won the game 1-0.
Well, you know what, Mark? Seth has been telling me for weeks now, D-Gun, you're replaceable. and I see.
By the Philly fanatic?
I see where he,
y'all crazy, man.
I see where he's going to get the replacement from. It shows you how little respect he has for me.
That was great. Thank you to Kendra for filming that. That was awesome. All right, now, officially, we all have the Eagles winning this game today. We hope we're all right, and we'll talk about that on the Verizon post-game show right here on the Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel.